In this demonstration, we'll discuss archiving Juno's OS configuration data. As you make changes and then commit those changes, the Juniper device automatically archives your previous configuration so that you can revert to that configuration at any point in time. To revert to the configuration, we can use the rollback command. The rollback command can be used to revert to any of your last 50 previous configurations. Let's take a look at the rollback command in order to revert back to a previous configuration. So the first thing I want to do here is go into configuration mode. I'll type in the edit command. Once in configuration mode, I want to modify my host name. You'll notice that my host name here is set to New York-R1. So I'm going to alter this with the set system host name command, and I'm going to set the host name to test1. Now you'll notice that test1 hasn't actually taken effect yet. If I show my current configuration, you'll notice that test1 is inside the configuration, but it hasn't been committed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to commit that configuration, and you should see here that my prompt changes to test1. Now if I want to roll back my configurations, what I can use is my rollback command. The current configuration, which is my prompt set to test1, is known as rollback index number 0, whereas the previous configuration, in each configuration before that, is a different number, that increment. So if I use the rollback command with a question mark, I can see all of the automatically saved configurations. So there's the kind of previous configuration or the previously committed configuration, which is my test1 prompt. But there's index number 1 is the configuration before that, which was the New York R1 prompt. So you can look at that 0 as kind of your currently committed configuration versus the previously committed, and each step before that is previous to that. So what I want to do is I'm going to roll back to my old prompt with rollback 1 and hit enter. Now you'll notice that the change hasn't taken effect because, again, just like you applying changes, you have to commit these. So I roll back, and the idea is that when you roll back, you'll always use the show command to verify that the configuration that you just rolled back to is the configuration that you want. And I can see up top here, it does contain my New York R1 prompt. So that's the configuration that I want. So then I can use the commit command to apply that configuration. So that's the idea of how to use that rollback command. So if I want to go back now to the test1 prompt, that's going to be a rollback 1. Because now my current committed configuration of ny-r1 is rollback 0. So if I do a show command, notice that it's set to test1. Now, after I see that, I think, oh no, that's not what I want. So I want to roll back, instead of rollback 1, I'm going to roll back 0. And that should put me back to, if I show my configuration, the host name of ny-r1. I'm going to commit that change. The last few points I want to make about Configuration Archive, you can see here in the slide. The first point is just the fact that we can use the rollback command in configuration mode. That's why I have the pound symbol in that first code example. We can use this rollback command to revert back to a previous configuration. So we saw that in the demonstration. The next point that I want to make is that you can copy the configuration of your Juno's device to a server for backup purposes. And to copy the configuration to a server on the network, we can use the file copy command. Now notice that the command I put in the prompt here are greater than sign, right? So notice that you're not in configuration mode, you're in operational mode. So you can use the file copy command, specify the path to the Juniper config file. So it's /config/juniper.conf.gz. Then put a space in, so that's your source for the file copy command. and then your target is the file server. So I have a file server here in my code example called FS New York. Then there's a colon, a /, and the path to where on that file server you want to save that file. So that's how we can copy the configuration to a server. And then at any point in time, you can copy that back by switching the source and the destination attributes, right? So you can switch those two around. So that's kind of what I show in the third code example, is how to copy that back and how to load the copied configuration from the server into memory and commit that. So again, you'll notice the prompts here. So you are in operational mode using the file copy command. You're copying from the file server this path. It'll copy it to your configuration. Now, after you copy it, you have to go into configuration mode. So I don't put it here, but there's an edit command. And then from there, you got to go and load the configuration file in memory. And then you can take a look at the config with the show command if you wanted to after that. And if you're happy, then you commit those changes to your Junos device configuration. So in this demonstration, you saw how to archive configuration data for a Juniper device.